Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
The Healing Through Love podcast with host Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson would love to acknowledge Global Glamping Charities Incorporated for generously supporting this podcast. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all of its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org. The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. In episode 57 with Marie Ferguson, Marie shares with us how we can step into the divine feminine and embrace self-love as a journey to discovery.
The affirmations came with a practice of, looking at myself in the mirror. I would be in the classroom telling 13-year-old girls, we're talking about body image, guys, you need to look at yourself and tell yourself how awesome you are. Your parents tell you how awesome you are, right? Yeah, no. When was the last time you said that to yourself? And I was preaching this stuff, and I didn't do it for myself. And when I was feeling the depth of, all of the feelings, I would just look at myself and think, oh, you are a terrible mother. You're not even spending time with your little toddler. You don't spend, I was just berating myself and just had these horrible self-talk pieces. And I would look at my body and look at my stomach and even look at my vagina and my cycle and go, oh, there must be something wrong with you. Look at, these horrible pieces. And it was I need to shift that in my mindset.
The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Healing Through Love. I'm your host, Sharlene Lynch from charlenelynch.com. Healing Through Love is here to help victims and survivors of domestic and family violence find their way back to living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. We interview experts and survivors who share their stories, their personal stories, and offer advice for those who've experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their healing journey. As well as the Healing Through Love podcast, we hold annual Pamper Days here in Adelaide, South Australia, and for survivors of domestic and family violence. Our local businesses all come together and pay it forward to provide their services and resources for a day of much-deserved indulgence. Think day spa on steroids. It's divine. And if that sounds interesting to you, well, great, because we've now launched the program globally, and we're looking for people who are either interested in organising or people who bring a healing technique to the process so that we can bring those healing days to a location near you. And so if you are one of those organisations, please reach out to us. Our details are everywhere. Every week we interview amazing guests, and today is no different. We are interviewing an amazing guest, Marie Ferguson. Oh, she is delightful. We've been chatting before the show. Marie is a powerful and inspirational embodiment coach with a unique feminine lens. She has overcome her own challenges, including occupational burnout, multiple miscarriages. Marie deeply understands the power of the mind, emotions, and the patterns, drawing on ancient wisdoms from the princesses I just cannot wait to find out more about this. Can I go over to Marie and tell me a little bit about how did you end up where you are?
Oh, amazing. Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Sharlene. And what an honor it is to be here. And what a beautiful space you've provided for people to share stories. And, I have had a really beautiful and interesting and challenging journey growing up. I was born in the Philippines, and my mother is Filipino, my dad Australian. And growing up in this mixed cultural background, had its trials and tribulations along the way. And I suppose what got me through to where I am now was this deep love for the body, for dance, for drama, for finding that inner spark within and that inner child and that essence of just doing what what you love. And the work that I do, I've had 16, 17 years teaching high school students and teaching young people and young women in particular about coming back to what lights them up in the arts, in those connective pieces. And growing up, that is the piece of, I suppose, where I was my truest self in the drama classroom when I was dancing on the stage, because sometimes it was really hard to have that light shine in all aspects of my life. And I suppose that's what led me to teaching and into education, to be the spark, to be the, I suppose, permission piece and the reminder for young people that there are good adults out there that have had tough times as well, and reminding them of, of having a bit of fun with life. So my life has led me through education, led me through my own journey, and coming back, I suppose, into these phases of womanhood has been an experience of just life and learning about motherhood and things that have come along the way that you just don't expect. And it was a journey inwards that led me to then sharing my gifts and sharing my story through coaching and mentoring.
I love it. I am a lover of everything arts and crafts, and particularly dancing. So I am a veteran belly dancer. At 50 sticks, I'm still performing. I know, that's okay. We have a group called the Stars of Denial, and when no one's looking, we call ourselves the Stars of Denial, because we're all over 50. And we're quite in denial of the fact that there is an unspoken rule in society that women over 50 don't dance. And yes, we're all over 50 and we dance anyway. And they pay us to dance. So you know what? It's okay. So we've got, just like the young chicks, got all our bits hanging out. And we just love the whole environment, the sisterhood, borrowing the other's bits and pieces and learning the dance and the choreography and having those souls sync to one message and one beat, and just the difference it makes to people that watch and how they connect it. And they're like, oh gosh, if they can do it, we can do it. And so it's not about being 20 and dancing in a bikini. It's about being yourself and embracing everything that you bring to the table. So yeah, I love it. You had me at a hello.
I love that. I secretly am a break dancer too, so I can bust out a freeze here and there and get pretty gangster. So that spark though, that love of just being in your body is something that I've just always loved growing up. And it's something my beautiful parents, did invest in for me to do. But yeah, again, that piece of doing something that you love and excelling at it was something that also had also narratives attached to it growing up, that I'm doing this for you to do, and for you to do the things that you love. And my parents did work very hard, and when you're a teenager or a kid, you don't know these things. You don't know how hard your parents work sometimes to give you things. And I know this podcast is about, sharing story and things like that. And I was sharing with you before that I haven't really openly spoken about, these parts of myself that kind of framed a lot of the negative self-talk that came along being a girl in a mixed race kind of family, but also doing things I loved, but then also had these parts that was telling me that you're never going to amount to anything if you keep following that path, but I'm still going to pay for you to do that. And so it was like this inner conflict of knowing that I love doing this. I love being in the drama world and putting on these characters. I love dancing and feeling that light, but there was also this piece of wanting affirming love and praise from my parents who were doing these things for me. So yeah, it was conflicting that I loved it so much, but there were like attachments to it, which I found interesting.
It's and that can be said of so many things in our lives and in our relationships. It's so true. So now you have fully embraced this, and this is what you share with others. Is there any techniques that you used early in on the piece? Because I know myself as a survivor, the things that I do now work for me now because, a little bit evolved. If I tried these processes back then when I was still in the mire of the thick of it all, in the heaviness of the life that I lived, I don't know if I could have done them. I'd even thought about doing them because they would have been strange. But is there anything that can help us move out of that quagmire and move forward from a body perspective?
Yeah, I found, no matter what it was, either growing up or shifting through, you mentioned the miscarriages in my story, like I forgot about my body. And even as a teenager, just to release those feelings, getting a pillow and allowing yourself to fully scream into it and hit it all out. Like as women, we suppress so much. And I've taught teenagers for a very long time, and they're dealing with so many emotions and feelings and hormones, and there is a lot of pent up energy and frustration and anger, and one thing that I did just naturally growing up, and then I still do now as an adult, is just let it rip, but in a safe and healthy way. And if you've got boxing gloves, go and punch something. That those frustrations are being communicated through your body for a reason. And so, yeah, I would scream in the pillow, I would punch it out, but I'd also dance. I'd just put on music that I loved that was either hip hop music or heavy, and just like fully allow myself to express, or, get into a dance class as a way to just get back into the body. And I remember after my miscarriages, I forgot how much I loved it. I would teach dance every single day to kids, but it wasn't for me. So when I went, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go do a dance class for myself. I felt better just to be in my body and to breathe through it and just let the music just take over. So there's a couple of really easy strategies just to do.
Absolutely. Everyone has access to music. We even have access on our phones. So yeah, and just to find some uplifting music and just to jiggle about, whether you can dance or not dance. I in my bid to the universe to find the perfect mate, I did say I want a man who can dance. I should have been a little bit more specific, because I do have a man that can dance, but what his version of dancing is called dad dancing, which is just a little bit of this. So, yeah, I do love him though. So I'm sure that you're very specific, but so everybody can dance. Everybody can absolutely dance. And it doesn't have to be, what do they say? Dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah.
But there's so much physical, emotional, and chemical and spiritual shifts in our body when we give ourselves the opportunity to be having that freedom to just shake it around like nobody's watching. I love it. It's so perfect. And yes, I will do it even when people are watching, inappropriately sometimes. Down the shopping centre aisle, I'll be dancing, and my other half's like, is anyone watching? I'm like, I don't care. So I love it. It gives you that freedom to be you. I love it. And you're right. It's something that you can do regardless of where you are on your healing journey. You can definitely reach in. So you mentioned about body shaming, and you mentioned about, disowned parts of ourselves and those sorts of things. Do you have, for someone who's maybe got a little bit further down the healing journey, is there anything that you can share with us in and around disowned parts and that healing those parts of the body?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, a lot of everything, we're down this healing path, everything stems from the inner child. So the little girl within me that felt not good enough, that was told, oh, you shouldn't dance in public because that's embarrassing. Look at how your body moves there. These pieces, whether it's your parents, whether it's other girls or society, that little girl inside wants to be seen, felt, and feel that bigness and that love. And so even moving into adulthood, you see these pieces reflected in different parts of your journey. So then that piece of knowing my inner spark of loving dance and just that expressive nature, and shutting that down in motherhood, shutting it down to give to everybody else but me, it came back again. And so when I did go through trauma of my miscarriages and looking at my body in a way that I felt so disappointed, or I was like, oh, right, I must be broken. I've got my period again. And these emotional, psychological pieces that were ingrained from childhood, teenage years, being able to recognize where it stemmed from, being able to shift with my mindset and shift with a lot of, like, number one, affirmations and mirror work. You know, the affirmations came with a practice of, like looking at myself in the mirror. I would be in the classroom telling 13-year-old girls, we're talking about body image. Guys, you need to like look at yourself and tell yourself how awesome you are. Your parents tell you how awesome you are, right? Like, yeah, no. When was the last time you said that to yourself? And I was like preaching this stuff, and I didn't do it for myself. And when I was feeling the depth of, all of the feelings, I would just look at myself and think, oh, you are a terrible mother. You're not even spending time with your little toddler. You don't spend. I was just berating myself and just had these horrible self-talk pieces. And I would look at my body and look at my stomach and even look at my vagina and my cycle and go, oh, there must be something wrong with you. Look at, these horrible pieces. And it was like, I need to shift that in my mindset. I need to notice the stories that they're not mine and actually own how freaking awesome I am. And even though I didn't believe it at first, I would just be persistent and just look myself in the eyes, in the mirror, and just go, you're amazing, you're capable, you're strong. And I'd look at myself in the mirror, and like, I wouldn't look at myself naked for a very long time, even just to honor all parts of my body, and to even look at my stomach and honor how amazing that body part is to have carried my daughter through, the whatever that part of the pregnancy was, and being able to, I had a C-section as well. So being able to heal and to be strong and to, actually talk to myself and talk to my body parts and to reframe how I looked at my body. And so mirror work, not only just your eyes, but your whole body. And my period was another big thing that I had a lot of shame pieces around as well. And it was like, how can I look at this as healthy? How can I look at this as my body is actually doing what she's meant to be doing, and shedding anything that I don't need and shifting all the things, and that it's healthy. And it was like, okay, let's just look down there. Our little kids look in the mirror and they lift their legs up and they look around here and they're curious, right? We did it as a kid and we were like, looking all our different body parts. And as adults, we don't as much. And if we expect somebody, a beloved one, that we're intimate with, to love all parts of ourselves, why couldn't I do that for me? Why couldn't I look at all parts of me and own it? So I did, it's called yoni gazing. And I did that. And I'd never done it before. I probably had a little look when I was a kid, but I see my daughter looking in the mirror going, what's that? And what's that? With curiosity. And I was like, where is my curiosity? Why am I so ashamed? And a lot of that, again, came back to growing up in being a girl, and girls are meant to do this. And again, noticing the narratives and the stories. And it was the mirror work that did a lot of shifting for me. So I
love it. I love it. And listeners, I'm sure you've got a mirror somewhere, just saying. So, you can begin the journey and expand your love for yourself. And it is part of self-compassion. So we won't go into the details, but have fun. I love it. Now, this has led you to offer a program that helps people. So I know you've got many programs working with children in schools, but also women in business. I'd love you to talk a little bit more about your Macho program. Is it Macho? Am I saying it correctly?
Menarche.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
So menarche, when we break it down, so I love playing with words and the meaning. So when I looked at the Latin meaning, menarche, so menarche process is about looking at the rites of passage of when girl turns into woman. And I think back to my own journey of when I got my first period. You know, my mom didn't know how to honor me or celebrate me in that big milestone. And it's a big milestone. You know, a lot of girls still today aren't celebrated. Many will probably talk to their mums, but some won't, depending on their background. And my mum didn't know how to talk to me about it. And that process, these rites of passage, particularly for women and girls, this frames our sexual and creative template of us going into womanhood, of that magnetism, of that power, of understanding that we're cyclical beings. And knowing that in my own journey, that none of this knowledge of the body or the feminine or any of that, you know, was ever really understood. Or, you know, my mum did the best that she could. She did the best that she could. And, you know, there were pieces in my own journey that were framed in, you know, a lot of heartache around those sensitive areas and things like that. So in my own journey of coming back to my womb space and understanding my cycle and coming back to knowing how much power is in that, I was like, girls need to know this, let alone mums. Mums need to know this too. And so I created this program, which was based on my own journey and my own understanding. And this is ancient wisdom as well of our cycles. And being able to frame like how we look at our monthly cycle in a way that we can use it for empowerment. Because as women, we go through such an array of hormones and feelings, and understanding our feelings and our emotional intelligence is so important. And being a teacher as well, being able to navigate your feelings in any type of relationship is so key. And so if we can, as women, understand our cycle and understand that, you know, when we are moving into our crone phase or our menstrual cycle, we are going to be hormonal. We are going to be more emotional or heightened or sensitive, or there is, because our body biochemistry is getting ready to shed and release and whatnot. And every month we're like dying and resurrecting. You know, the version of us that we were last month is different to who we are the next month, and that's evolution and growth. So I've got this beautiful 12-week program for mums that want to go within and know themselves a little bit more deeper and do it in a framework that is really holistic in the feminine, and having a little bit of fun with that as well, because I love framing it in character types, so archetypes, and looking at, well, how can we use that to our best advantage in our lives, in our relationships, in business, in parenthood, in leadership. And yeah, I've had a lot of beautiful women that have loved working in that program and really shifted and risen in their consciousness of self and in their feminine, which therefore then enhances their masculine within themselves, bringing that queen energy in. And they've seen their relationship shift and their relationship to their children and their businesses and their mindset around that shift. Because when women rise, our men rise, our children rise, our communities rise. So yeah.
Yes. And yes, I really resonate with this. I know as a survivor, I was almost anti-male when I stepped into my own power, and it had shifted the balance. And so I more lent into my own masculine and away from my feminine as a way support myself and protect myself from being damaged anymore. And yet I was not allowing the masculine in from a male. So I was attracting the wrong type of men. And, even as late as 2019, so that's not that long ago, I was still in a domestically violent situation. So, highly evolved, running a successful business, but still leaning too much into my masculine power, so attracting men that were, trying to crush that box, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't until I met a coach and did some work and stepped into my feminine power and just came from that place of receiving that I could meet the perfect man and now be married to him. So, wow, it's such to allow yourself to be the female, to be that receiver, and have the masculine container hold you. It's just a completely different vibration than, and it's still in your own power. It's a different type of power though. So yes, and yes, I love everything that you do. So a 12-week program, that's amazing. The information is going to be in the show notes and also in the description. And I also understand, we were chatting before the show, that you've got a freebie to offer our audience, our listeners today. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I do. It's called Unlock the Holy Grail Within. And so it does link to understanding the feminine archetypes, and, it goes deeper into looking at this ancient wisdom, but framing it in a modern way that, the best time to manifest and action anything as a woman is when you're ovulating, which is, again, a very masculine energy, a very yang energy to then action and do things and whatnot. And knowing that when we have this flow happening, there's this magnetism within. When we come back to balancing our sacral and our root and our solar plexus, these lower chakra centers, when they're all grounded in your body, in the earth, into who you are, then everything else opens up, and allows the flow to come more through your body, through your vessel. And that magnetism and that drive and that passion that you bring back to yourself in the work that, we can do for loving ourselves, you just see this difference in your relationships, and either intimately or professionally. And you see people that are so alive and vibrant. You're like, what do they got? What is it about them? And a lot of it comes back to understanding our yonis and our wombs, and that sexual creative template that I was telling you about. And it really dives into a little bit of that history and understanding that in a practical way. So happy to offer that free gift to anyone that is keen to learn some more.
I love that. That's fantastic. So again, the link for that will be in the show notes and the description. That's amazing. So if it's time for you to expand and reach into your feminine and find a more expansive version of you, then have a look at the 12-week course and also jump into the freebie as well and have a look at those archetypes. It's great to know where you are now, and you can also reflect on where you have been, because isn't that how we learn? By having that reflection on where we have been and perhaps maybe a little bit of where you want to go. I love it. So I've been through a few iterations in my life of different archetypes. And I still have little pieces of those inside of me, but I know that I'm reaching to the crone because I got the grey hairs. So I sort of earned the title. That, and I'm 56 years old.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom in the crone phase, that's for sure.
I love it. Yes, and we still carry those other archetypes with us on some level as we move forward. It is a beautiful reflection piece. And when I first looked at it, I thought, it's just another way to stick us in another box. It's not. It's another way for us to understand ourselves. So reach in and have a look at it. I dare you. It is a great piece. And you'll really love that opportunity to get to know yourself so much more. And if you are a mother, then it's also knowing yourself and knowing your children, because they're having the same experiences as well. And we can maybe be the parents that we wanted. I don't know. I said that a little tongue in cheek, but you know what I'm talking about, Marie. I love it. So, wow. I think I could talk to you all day. It's just absolutely fascinating, everything that you bring, this beautiful eclectic collection of skills and talents that have made this beautiful, powerful piece, this feminine, beautiful, powerful piece that you bring to the table, for allowing us to love ourselves so much more deeply. It's beautiful. So in closing, I'd just love, is there anything that you'd love to share with our audience today for them to move forward?
Yeah, I feel that no matter what hardships you've gone through, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological abuse, and it can come in many forms, just allowing forgiveness to come into your heart, and to, I really honor my parents and what a gift they've given me to know the depth of myself in that way, and to forgive some of the really hard, tough things that I remember just crying in the corner, just in so much fear. I remember that little girl that just wanted to be loved and was so scared of what was coming because I wasn't fitting the box of how I should be. And knowing that we have the power to heal that little girl within us, that we have the power to be the parent, as you said, to ourselves, be the angel to ourselves, and go within and to come back to what lights us up. And there are lots of different strategies and people in this world that are doing the work and are shifting and transforming, and so can you. And it's honoring that light and that spark within that is the real healing force. So yeah,
I love that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing with us the freebies as well for our listeners today. The links are in the show notes and the description. And if you feel that this 12-week course resonates, please reach out, have a conversation. She's got a curiosity call, so you can have a chat and see if this is a good fit. And there's also a landing page with all the information that you need as well. 12 weeks for transformation. I love it. I love it. It's perfect. Just 3 cycles. You've got this. I love it. Such a blessing to connect with you today, and I look forward to working with you moving forward. I'm excited that you've got some curiosity about our Healing Through Love global plan, and that maybe you might be one of our sisters that links arms and helps take this to a broader audience as well. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you about that. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to connect, and that's a goodbye from us today. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.